We know Canada is an absolute laggard on the global scale, that our greenhouse gas emissions have gone up since signing the Paris Accord, which is intended to bring them down. All the other major countries that are developed countries, their emissions are coming down, and in some cases rapidly coming down. So we are, an outsider in terms of where the progressive world is heading. And it's because we are promoting and subsidizing with taxpayer money the fossil fuel sector, oil, gas, coal.
That's right.
And so what we need to do is switch the government investments from oil, gas, and the fossil fuel sector into the renewable energy sector and into the energy conservation sector, and that includes retrofitting. I mean, buildings are a huge part of GHG, greenhouse gas emissions. And in the city of Vancouver, for example, 58% of our emissions come from buildings, mostly because they use gas to heat in many cases. So we need to get people off that into other forms of heating and cooling. Heat pumps is a perfect example of where federal government investment should be made, and in the training of people to retrofit those buildings.
That's right. That's right. We understand how to do this. It's just about going about doing this, right? Like you mentioned earlier, we just need to look to other countries that have done it, and we're falling behind, and we just need to pick up our pants and move forward.
Yeah. I mean, they could start, for example, the federal government with investing in the retrofitting of all public buildings. Every school, every community center, every library, rec center, family place, senior center, they all should be zero carbon. And then they become refuges. They become places where people can go if there is a heat wave, which we're going to get more of. They could be places to go where if our air is contaminated with smoke from forest fires in the interior, because the heat pumps, for example, air-to-air exchanges filter the air, there are places where people who have breathing difficulties have a safe refuge. So it makes sense from a health perspective, from a public safety perspective, and from a climate perspective. Like, there's winds every which way you look. I wish the federal government did have a major investment program in that.
You mentioned earlier about retraining or training tradespeople to be able to facilitate the large amounts of work that it would take with programs. I thought that was a really great idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard right now to get a tradesperson give you a date to install a new air-to-air exchanger heat pump. There's just not enough tradespeople there.